sometimes helping people, especially as a godly person, one of God's chosen, who, by the way, in the Bible, as a reminder, says that God's people are a peculiar kind of people. Sometimes helping people may seem like it's going to cost you your life, and that's actually the case, because if you're helping the wrong people, what you're actually doing is just giving your soul away to avoid. Because a lot of the people out here are basically soul sucking vacuums. They're energy vampires, as some people call them, or they are the walking dead. These are the people that don't even really know that they're existing in the Matrix, but they're existing in the Matrix nonetheless. And I want the topic for today to be about how God's chosen people rarely trust anyone, and this is why. You feel alone, or you are alone in many cases, because it's very rare for you to actually trust somebody, in not just in today's day and age, because loyalty seems to be something of the past, honor seems to be something of the past, purity seems to be something of the past. And I think we'll get there again one day, but it's going to take a few generations of not so good things happening to where we'll see things happening for the better. But as you look around today, there are literally so many people that are envious of your energy, or that are wanting to be around you, but at the same time, they feel as though being around you holds up a mirror to what they're not and who they're not. And some people you can't even, like, they'll stare at you, and when you finally look them in the eye, it's like they don't even want to look at you. And sometimes they're just a little bit embarrassed, or they're a bit shy, but other times it's like they're so frustrated with you being the person that you are, that if you are actually trying to make an effort in your life, you are actually trying to put an effort into who you are, what you are the kind of person that stays healthy. You are the kind of person that takes care of yourself. You're the kind of person that really enjoys to be in solitude. You're not afraid of solitude. It's almost like people don't know how to handle that. And you might be a bit quiet, or you might be a little bit on the verge of being dangerously different. I remember growing up, I heard a lot of, wow, he's a lot to handle. And I got pretty domesticated after about 12 years old, 13 years old. I was pretty domesticated, because it felt as if I was having my spiritual masculinity being stripped from me. I used to be a very assertive person up until that point, and now I've reclaimed that part of me very much so, and I'm direct, but I'm not necessarily overly aggressive, and I'm not going to just piss around and beat around the bush. I'm going to try to see who you are. I'm going to try to feel out who you are, because in the Bible it says that we test the spirits. And that's what I do. I like to test the spirits before I get to know them, because I don't want to be around people that are trying to bring us down. Like, we don't have time for that. There's literally no time for that kind of stuff and that kind of behavior. And the more I realized that these people around me at that age, when I was 13, 14, when that stuff kind of started to happen, and I was really being domesticated like a freaking house cat, and it was almost like the lion in me was caged away in the crevices of my mind, while people wanted me to be a cat. And it's like, well, I'm a lion. Well, no, be a cat. But I'm a lion. That's what I felt. But at the same time, every time I tried to be that, I would ruffle some feathers. I would speak the truth, and I would ruffle some feathers. And I really didn't like to do that, in all honesty. I really didn't like, and I didn't really have the temperament for it at the time either. Now, fast forward to a few years ago is when I really started to reclaim that. and now it's in better shape than ever. And now I have a more mature approach to everything, but I still don't trust a lot of people because there's just something about trusting God more than anybody else that has always brought me more peace to my existence. I've never been able to trust people very well considering my background. And it's not like I have trust issues or like you have trust issues or anything like that if you're going through something like this. But it's like, you know what a healthy relationship with yourself feels like. Therefore, you know how to healthily relate to other people. And you can see how so much people do not want to healthily relate to themselves. And sometimes it's more healthy to just not say anything and not be a part of the group than to participate in it. Because then when you participate in it, you feel like you can blend in with them if you want, but you don't fit in. And you don't really fit in anywhere. Sometimes it feels as though you don't fit in here or there or anywhere. You just kind of exist around them, and you're being who you are. You're fully fledged in the Holy Spirit and your soul's on fire for Jesus, but everybody around you just is facades. It's just a facade. They're hiding behind illusions. Even some of the kindest people that you'll meet, it's not like they're bad people. It's just that they have no clue how to orient themselves to or conduct themselves to live a more understanding, compassionate life toward themselves and therefore toward other people. And it's not about just being the nice person, right? It's not about that at all. It's good to be a kind-hearted person, but it's not good to be a doormat. And this is another reason why a lot of godly people are alone, because so many people seem to treat you like a doormat. And other people will use other people as doormats. So many people just talk to other people just to feel like they have a sense of community, even though it's not a sense of community at all. They have no sense of community. They don't have anything. We were just on a call with the Regal Change Academy group call earlier, and one of the people in the group said that they just don't talk about anything of substance. Some of these people just don't talk about substance. And it's like, yeah, they don't. Most people don't have anything of substance to say. They're mostly repeating programs or thought algorithms that were implemented into them by society. They don't have their own thought algorithms that they're creating. They don't have their own virtue or morals that they're trying to strive for. They don't really follow Jesus. So how could they possibly have anything of substance to say? And a lot of the people that you'll see in life that even claim to follow God or to have faith, it's like you look at them and you think to yourself, man, you say a lot of these things, but you act like you don't. You just simply don't. You don't seem like the kind of person that would be willing to sacrifice their own life to follow God. And guess what? Every single truly godly person that I know has had to sacrifice their life in some way, shape, or form to follow God. And they probably lost a lot more than they anticipated or wanted to, but yet they chose that way. And you have to realize as well that in the domain of spiritual reality, and not necessarily just in the physical realm, but even though the world is spiritual, you have to realize, if you are a truly godly chosen person, that your energy is basically like a celebrity kind of energy among the spirits in the spiritual domain. The reason being is because in the spiritual realm, the darkness and the dark spirits will be able to recognize anybody that is of the light. And so you might see people out and about that have no clue about this really deeper spirituality stuff going on, they might try to plant seeds of doubt. They might try to make sure that you're going to sabotage where you're going or where you're at. They might try to make sure that you don't really feel the way that you want to, because they're part of the system. It's not even really them all the time. It's that they're part of the system itself. And when they're part of the system itself, that's where you can cost your life by trying to help these people. Some people just don't want to change, and it's not your job to change anybody. It's your job to be responsible for yourself. It's your job to be included and responsible and dedicated to your work that will glorify the Father in heaven. Because at the end of the day, when we're gone from this physical realm, but our spirit and our soul lives on, what's going to matter is how we interacted and how we intended to do things with our life in order to please the Most High God. And if we're not capable of doing that, then of course you're going to be living a miserable life. Of course you're going to be living a life that you don't really enjoy. Of course you're going to be living a life that is not necessarily going to be advantageous to your spiritual wholeness or well-being. Of course not. How would it be able to? So be mindful of these things, and remember that it's hard to trust people sometimes because they don't know how to trust themselves. If you want to know how to identify somebody that's trustworthy, look to somebody that can trust themselves. If people cannot trust themselves, or they're trying to put responsibilities for themselves onto other people, oh, you should do this for me. I hate that word, should. Oh, should. You should. Oh, you should do this. Oh, you should do that. Oh, you know what you should do? You should do this. Ugh. You know what the word should is? It's like trying to force somebody to do something against their will. And of course, there are times that you should be doing stuff. Like you should be working on what you need to be working on. But to say to somebody like, oh, this is what you should do, when you didn't even, like, how do I say this? Because it's a very fine line. I just simply think that we ought to remove the word should, because should is just such a forceful word. It's not even like a commandment, like shout, thou shalt not kill or murder. That's shout is something different from should, right? You shouldn't, I guess, would be a way to view the word shout, but you shouldn't kill. You should not murder, because that's really the actual phrasing there of the Bible, and the translation is murder. Like some translations have murder instead of kills, but anyway, that's a bit of a side note. But the point is like, so many times when people say, oh, you should do this, you should do that, they don't even take their own freaking advice. It's like, I don't want to take advice or accept any kind of advice from anybody that doesn't have a life that I would want to be a part of in some way, shape, or form, or that I would want to have like my own. I don't ever take advice from people that don't really seem to have their own stuff together. And sure, that doesn't mean that if they're going through a hard time, they have nothing of substance to offer. But when they say, oh, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this, but they don't even do it themselves, it's like, I cannot trust that person. I cannot trust that person in any way, shape, or form, because they can't even hearken unto their own advice. And anybody that's done consultations with me knows and understands that everything that I recommend or anything that I suggest when we're doing consultations and people are talking to me like, hey, what should I do here? What should I do there? You know what I always do? I always say something that I know either Jesus would do or that I would do, because I know that that's going to align, because I know I'm aligned. I am spiritually aligned right now. There are not always going to be days where I feel fantastic, but on the days, even when I'm feeling a bit meh, I still guarantee that I have better energy than 90% of the people on the earth. So look to somebody that you can trust, who trusts themselves and demonstrates it through their actions. Because when your words and your actions align, that's where magic really happens. And with that being said, I hope this message it was useful and insightful. And until next time, peace be with you.